The first rudiment that I want to show you guys is the most simplest of simplest techniques in the existence of the human race, and it's called the single stroke roll. Right, left, repeat. That's pretty much the way that the single stroke roll rolls. It's really simple. I'm just going to keep it on the snare at first. I'll just go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, and you can see that it is absolutely redonkulously simple. The cool thing about this is, though, I know it sounds redundant because it is so extremely simple, but these basic techniques train your muscles. So it really affects muscle memory. I know it's incredibly simple for your brain to think right, left, right, left, right, left, and just repeat that indefinitely pretty much. But it's not that simple for your muscles, because if you started playing, your muscles have never done this motion before. So it's really important to just do that, even though it feels redundant, and just get your muscles used to this motion, because later on, you're going to want to split this up around the kit. Split your hands and your arms up, kind of move it around the kit. So it's really important to get your muscles and your wrists and your fingers and everything used to right, left, right, left, right, left, that motion. Just start at the most basic of basics and just build it up from there. And this is pretty much as simple as it gets. So this is the single stroke roll. So those were 8th notes. Don't worry about that too much. I'll just play it in 16th notes now. So twice as fast if you don't want to care about the note values at first. So that was 8th notes. I'll just speed it up to make it twice as fast so that you can see what happens with my wrists. Because now it won't just be da 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 da. It'll kind of be a dynamic way of playing. We'll get to the dynamics a bit later on, but just be aware of the difference of what happens between when I play the slow 8th notes and I go to 16th notes, twice as fast. We'll get to developing speed and kind of seeing how fast we can get that efficiently and effectively around the kit a bit later on. But for the moment, like I said, the most important thing is muscle memory. So even though these patterns seem stupidly simple, it's really important just to play them anyways, especially if you're just starting out. And to get your muscles used to the motion, because that's really important. You don't want to have to think about the way that you play. You want to have to think about the creative stuff. And the cool thing about rudiments is that they're so basic that it's pretty much all muscle memory later on. So it's really important to start them slow and just get used to the motions. Like I said, that's a really simple pattern. Now we'll move on to the paradiddle. Now we'll move on to the double stroke roll. The cool thing about this is that my hands don't necessarily speed up, because in essence, double stroke means you're creating two sounds with one motion. So it won't be da, it'll be ta-ta, because you're using the bounce, the natural rebound of the skin, the natural reaction of the tip of the stick hitting the skin and being bounced back. You're using that to create the second stroke. So it's going to be ta-ta. Know what I'm saying? So just being aware of the fact that the stick is being bounced back by the skin. So my hands will still be making the 8th note motion. So da 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 da, but it won't sound like that. It'll be da 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 da. And it's not magic. I'm not Harry Potter. It's just the fact that I'm using the natural rebound of the skin to produce two sounds and not just one. The best way to demonstrate this is just to show you guys. So I'll start with 8th notes, single strokes, like the normal single stroke roll, and then I'll go into the doubles. And you can see that the note values double, so it sounds twice as fast, but the hand motion stays the same. So it'll still just be this, but the speed of the notes will increase. Well, it will double pretty much. So see if you can spot that when I go from singles to doubles. So the motion stayed exactly the same. I just produced two strokes with every downward motion and not just one. So it was ta-ta instead of ta. It's a difficult, well, it's not difficult, but it's just a little bit more complex than the single stroke roll because now you need to use the natural rebound of the skin. In the beginning, that's quite something to get used to. It's quite a different way of playing. When I started playing on a really low quality, really badly tuned snare, so it didn't rebound the sticks at all. So I wasn't aware of the fact that the drums kind of respond and communicate with the stick, like physics-wise. It actually bounces the stick back, and you can use that for more strokes or for dynamics or for so many things. But I wasn't aware of that in the beginning. Probably for the first 6 months, I didn't know that you could tune drums. So my snare was this really manky, flat, thick thing that didn't bounce the stick back. And I think it's so valuable right at the beginning of your playing to be aware of the fact that the skin like bounces the stick back, and you can use that energy for more strokes or just to play more efficiently. So just be aware of that. You can use this kind of technique later on for even more strokes, to produce 3 strokes or 4 or 5 or 6 if you're good enough. But just be aware of the fact that everything around the kit interacts with the stick. So even the toms, if they're tuned tightly enough, will hit the stick back, and you can use that energy. The ride hits the stick back. You can use that to get more speed. The cymbals on the edge, not so much, but if you start playing with the tips of the stick again, same deal. So just be aware of the physics and the way that the drums and the cymbals react to the stick, and that you can use the extra energy. So if you hit the tom and it hits the stick back, you can use that energy to create more strokes if you want to, just to play more efficiently around the kit. So just keep that in the back of your mind. The next thing that we'll talk about is the paradiddle. And this is where things become a little bit more complicated, because now it's not just a right left right left right left or a right right left left right right left left motion. It kind of becomes a combination of strokes that you need to memorize at first and then just repeat. You can't really feel this, you can't really kind of instinctively play it right off the cuff, because it is a pattern that you need to learn. But like I said, once muscle memory kicks in, then this is an absolute cakewalk. You don't even have to think about it anymore. This is one of those patterns that just becomes part of your foundation, drumming wise. So it becomes all muscle memory later on. But in the beginning, just learn this stroke for stroke, play it really slowly, even if it sounds stupid. But like I said, you just need to get your muscles used to the motions, because they've never done this before. So the basic pattern of the paradiddle is right, left, right, right. That's the first half. So now we finished the pattern that starts with the right hand. Now we're going to move on to the pattern that starts with the left hand. That's the second half. Left, right, left, left. So those are the 2 patterns. Just practice them really, really slowly, especially because I'm right-handed. The pattern that's being led by the left hand was a bit difficult for me at first. But like I said, slowly, just start super, super slowly. Practice it stroke for stroke, gradually bring it up to speed. But the most important thing about this pattern is to take the 2 parts and to put them together with no space in between. So not da 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 da, but da 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 da. Sound like an idiot again, but you get the idea. You just want to stick them together so that there are no gaps, well, no noticeable gaps at least. It sounds like da 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 da. It should sound like single strokes almost, but being played with the paradiddle pattern. So what the pattern looks like, part or piece by piece, is this. So now, if you haven't played that before, then play that a friggin' bajillion times until you're comfortable with the motion and until your muscles kind of get to understand the motion and that you don't have to think about it as much anymore. So just play it over and over again until you can't anymore. I'd say don't split it up around the kit just yet. Just get used to the motion, like I said. The goal of this is eventually to speed it up, where the 2 strokes being played with one hand can actually be played as a double stroke. So 1 motion with 2 notes. So da 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 da. That's the goal, to get it up to a speed where you can do that. So I'll just play it a little bit faster now, so that you can see when you play this pattern a little bit faster, it becomes a lot more fluid, and it's a really, really cool pattern to use. So this is the paradiddle. Once again, just play it a little bit faster. So you'll see that if you start playing the 2 strokes being played with each hand at a certain part in the pattern as double strokes, so as a ta-ta instead of a ta-ta, then the whole pattern takes a completely different form. It really starts becoming really fluid, and it's a really nice pattern to split up between the 2 hands. But then you need to get it up to a speed where you can actually play the 2 strokes that alternates between the 2 hands as a double stroke. So 2 notes being played with 1 motion. Like I say, don't worry too much about speed just yet. Muscle memory is key and incredibly important. So really just start it super slow, get used to the motion. I'd say the first step is just to play it as slow as possible for a really long time so that you can get used to the motion. And the second step would be to just make it a little bit faster so that you can play the 2 strokes as 1 double stroke. Be sure to keep it as fluid as possible. It's not gonna help you if you play it da 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 da, like it needs to be even, da 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 da, like it needs to have that even kind of feel to it. So just keep it slow enough so that you can keep it under control. Muscle memory is way more important, and getting the pattern under control is way more important than speed. You can always get to the speed later on if you just gradually speed it up, but you can't just jump into the speed and then expect to be able to play it flawlessly. So just start really slow. The next pattern is the 5-stroke roll. So it's also just a combination between the 2 hands, and it's like the paradiddle. It's a pattern that has a right hand led piece and a left hand led piece. Does that sound right? Does that sound like it makes sense? Anyways, it's got a pattern that is being led and started by the right hand, and a pattern that is being led and started by the left hand, just like the paradiddle. And at the end of this, you kind of put them together, you play them continuously, and it's got a really uniform, nice little continuous feel to it. But just think about the way that I approach this is just to think about the 2 patterns. So one of the patterns, well, one of the halves of the pattern is being started by the right hand, the other half is being started by the left hand. Basically, the right hand pattern, so the one that's being started with the right hand, it starts with a single stroke. So it's right, and then it's followed by 2 double strokes. Left, left, right, right. So the first pattern is right, left, left, right, right. That's the first half. The second half is being started with the left hand, also with a single stroke, followed by 2 double strokes. Left, right, right, left, left. So it's right, left, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, left. Switch around. So it just switches around between the 2 hands the whole time. This gets a little funky though. If you stick them together, it does get a little funky because it's 5 notes. It's not 4 or 6 or a nice, even, comfortable little number. It's 5. So if you play them consecutively and you try to keep it as continuous and as fluid as possible, it does have a strange, odd little turning point. So you'll feel that if you play it consecutively, it kind of feels like it's got a weird little turning point. It does mess with your head a little bit, but that's why I love this so much. And it teaches you so much with regards to with patterns that feel odd. So that's why I dig playing this. I'll just take both parts and I'll stick them together so that you can see. I'll play it really slow though, but I'll put them together so that you can see that the pattern finishes, well, it kind of loops at a strange point. It does feel a little lopsided. So this is what it sounds like. The 5-stroke roll played really slow. So the only place that this pattern kind of has an even feel is if you've played it twice. So if you've played 2 5-stroke rolls, then in essence you've played 10 strokes. So that's the first place where it kind of gets an even feel. I don't know if I'm confusing you, but the way that my mind works is I just like to lock things into the grid. So I want to know where the 1 is, where the loop ends, where it begins, and kind of how it fits into a normal, common 4/4 time grid. So the first place where this pattern becomes even is when you've played 2. So if you've played the whole pattern through twice, when you've played 10 strokes, that's the first kind of even, where it's not a 5 anymore, so at the 10 strokes. But I think you've heard that it's got kind of a little odd, lopsided feel when you stick the 2 parts together. It gets really cool though when you play it along to kind of a 4/4 groove or click, and you still keep it continuous. So like you're kind of still sticking to the odd lopsided feel. Then it gets really cool. Also, if you can get it up to a nice little bit faster tempo, then you can play the double strokes as actual double strokes. Same with the paradiddle. So the first stroke is a single, and then the two double strokes that follow can be played as double strokes. Double, double, single, double, double, single, double, double. So you want to get that kind of feel. You want to get it to a tempo where you can actually play the double strokes as double strokes. So I'll just take the same pattern. I'll speed it up a little bit so that you can see I'm playing the double strokes as double strokes. I'll try to keep it. I'll try to keep that lopsided kind of feel. I don't want to give it a different feel. So I'll try to stick to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to that kind of feel. But I'll speed it up a little bit so that I can just play the double strokes as double strokes. So what I did now was that I stuck them together. I kept them stuck together. I just increased the tempo so that I could play the double strokes as double strokes. I really desperately try to stick to that lopsided feel so that you can hear, you kind of always have that five on a side kind of feel. It's not a 4 or 6. So it does have that little odd kind of feel to it. And I also just accented the single strokes with rim shots. So rim shot, double, double, rim shot, double, double, rim shot. That's just what I tried to do to kind of let you know exactly where the one was and to illustrate that odd kind of feel. You can mess with the single strokes a little though. So the starting point of each of these little patterns, you can mess with them and kind of squeeze them onto a 4/4 click or like onto the grid. It does change the feel a little bit, but you can use the exact same stick configuration. Right, left, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, left. You can use exactly that, but kind of just mess with the angles a little bit if you get comfortable with the motion. But the same as with the single stroke roll, double stroke roll, paradiddle, just start really slow. You get used to the motion. This one especially was a little bit tricky for me in the beginning because of the odd configuration. So the 5 strokes on a side. But like I said, if you want to know where it gets even, it's when you've played the pattern twice. I've got kind of a mathematical approach to drumming sometimes, so I like the idea that every 2 times that I've completed the pattern, it's on 10 strokes. So that's like an even point for me. So I like having that in the back of my mind as well. If that helps you, you can do the same. If it doesn't, then just forget about it. The next thing that I want to show you guys is the 6 stroke roll. It's a nice even configuration. It doesn't have 2 patterns that is started by the right hand and then by the left hand. It's nice and even, just kind of repeats. And if you play it consecutively and you can get it up to speed where it's got that fluid motion, it has a really nice feel to it. It feels like a galloping horse or a train or something less corny, but it just has that nice little feel to it. This is actually my favorite rudiment at this stage. I love playing this. I friggin' throw it in everywhere. It's just such a comfortable pattern for me to play. What it consists of, I started with the right hand single stroke. It has 2 single strokes and in the middle 2 double strokes. That's why it's 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how I play it. I know a lot of people start with the 2 singles and then the 2 doubles, or the 2 doubles and then the 2 singles, but I start with the right hand single. So it's right, left, left, right, right, left, right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you just loop that. So it's a nice uniform little pattern. It's even, it's not as funky and confusing as the 5-stroke roll, and you can just repeat that one pattern over and over again. The 2 singles, well, the 2 singles are easy because they're singles, but singles are easy, but the 2 doubles are not as easy. You kind of have to, because they're being started with the left hand. That's what threw me off a little bit about this pattern when I started playing it, because you're starting with a single, but the first double is being played with the left hand. And that kind of threw me off. I really had to get used to the fact that it's a single with the right and then 2 doubles with the left hand. Because I was really comfortable with playing doubles with my right hand. And even just in my mind, just starting a double stroke roll with the right hand. But with the left hand, for some reason, it was just so uncomfortable for me. So that was something that I needed to get used to. But if you get used to this, like I said, just starting really, really slow, getting your muscles used to the motion, it gets so much fun if you speed it up and you kind of get that galloping horse train rushing on the tracks kind of feel. That's a really, really cool feel for me. I love playing this up to a decent speed and getting that kind of feel. I'll just play the pattern really, really slow so you can see the stick configuration, and I'll accent the single strokes with rim shot so you can see where they are. Actually, I'll just accent the one with the rim shot. I won't accent the left one as well so that you can see where the pattern starts for me. So it'll be rim shot, double, double, left, rim shot, double, double, left, rim shot. But I'll try to keep it as uniform and as even as possible, starting the one, so the right hand, with a rim shot so that you can see where the pattern starts. So this is the 6-stroke roll. So that's the pattern: right, left, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, right. I just accented the one, so the start of every full pattern, not the left hand as well. What I do usually if I play the pattern up to speed is that I accent both of them. So I'll accent both single strokes with rim shots. Or if I start splitting it up around the kit, then I'll play all the doubles on the snare and the singles on the tom. So it's hard to explain the feel of the pattern with my mouth, so I'll just play it up to speed a little bit more so that you can hear what happens when you speed it up and you accent both single strokes. Then that's where it kind of gets that nice galloping kind of feel. So I'll just take the same pattern, accenting both single strokes with rim shots, and I'll play it a bit faster so that I can play the single strokes, the double strokes as double strokes. But you'll hear the pattern completely changes when you speed it up. And that's the same that goes for the 5-stroke, parallel, double stroke, and even the single stroke roll a little bit. If you start speeding the patterns up, they take a totally different feel. So this is the 6-stroke roll, sped up, and both single strokes accented on the rim shots. Hopefully that kind of illustrated the galloping nature that I was talking about. Now I'll play the same pattern at the same tempo. I'll just split it up around the kit a little bit, kind of placing the 2 single strokes on different places around the kit while keeping the 2 double strokes on the snare drum, just to show you guys what you can do and what you, I think, ultimately should try to do with rudiments and patterns like these. Kind of split them up around the kit, move them off of just playing them on the snare drum. So this is the 6-stroke roll, 6-stroke roll at the same tempo, doubles being kept on the snare drum, and I'll just move the 2 single strokes around the kit to try and give it a different feel. So those are some of my favorite patterns to play around the kit, some of my favorite rudiments. Like I said, the most important thing by far is to start slow, really, really, really slow, especially if you're playing them for the first time. Just concentrate on getting your muscles used to playing those notes and getting used to the motions and the strokes before you speed it up. The speed will come later on, but you can't play fast. You can't have speed if you don't have control. So control is essential. That's why it's so important to start slow. Something else you can do is you can start splitting these patterns up around the kit once you get comfortable with them. So if you have played the patterns long enough to feel totally comfortable with them, just playing them on the snare drum, then start splitting them up around the kit, just placing different strokes on different things around the kit. You don't have to play the whole parallel on the tom. It might be a little bit more difficult because it doesn't bounce the stick back as much as the snare drum, but just try to just split certain notes up and place certain notes at different places on the kit. That's also a really nice creative exercise. Rudiments are incredibly important. Some people really don't like them, but they are really, really important. They form an absolutely great foundation for your playing if you start slow. Like I said, muscle memory is key. It's so important. So these are some of my favorite patterns that I like playing around the kit.